All right, guys. Today we are going to be reacting to parenting in Germany versus the United States. Let's jump in, guys.
Children up from clubs at 2 a.m. I was like, no way. Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Montana and I was an exchange student in Germany this past year. Now I make a lot of videos on the differences between German and American culture. I'm finally moved into my dorm at the University of Virginia, which is why this background is so plain right now. It's like a concrete prison wall, but I'll try to be decorating it soon. It's just really hard, nothing sticks to it. So pardon the background, I'm trying to find the best place to film. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about the differences between parenting in the US versus in Germany. Keep in mind, I only had like parents as a teen in Germany, so I don't know as much about the experience of a child growing up in Germany, whereas in the US I definitely have like more knowledge. But just to start off, I think that children in Germany have so much freedom at a young age. It was insane to me. Like, just German parents give their children so much more freedom to do what they want. For example, German children play more alone a lot, and I was reading a few articles just to like make sure the points that I was making or the points that I've witnessed are true for more than just like the few examples that I saw while I was in Germany. It's definitely true that German parents aren't afraid to have their children go play alone and to be, say, a further distance away or maybe not even in view, versus in the US it's like a parent rule or like a babysitter rule that you have to be with your eyes on the child at all times, so they almost feel like they're being watched. The next point that brings me to is playgrounds in Germany and Europe. So there was this video, I believe it was by Vox, I can link it down in the comment section below, but it was on how Americans have just made their playgrounds so safe that children don't benefit from playing on them really, and you can see it in slides being totally enclosed in like soft plastic versus open in metal, and like everything is just designed for safety. There's a million railings and such. But playgrounds in Europe are considered more dangerous, but the children actually learn more from these dangerous playgrounds. And let me tell you, this is the truth. In Passau, which is where I lived, there was this playground downtown, and I have never been on like a playground and been so scared. I was 17, so I cannot imagine a 5 or 6-year-old climbing on this playground. It was like strings that made up this web almost, and these wooden and metal platforms, and then like you could climb to the top, but then it was really hard to get back down to the bottom. I'll try to find a picture of one similar to it, but I got so scared. I think my friend like helped me.
That's a good, I'm sorry, that's a good, I don't know, obstacle. I'll say like a very good obstacle. That really is training basically their kids to just be good at balance, right? Balance and maneuvering through risks. Very
off
good.
of it because I was so scared of it. That was definitely a culture shock for me. I was like, wow, these playgrounds look a little scary. Where are the bright colors of slides and play toys? It was still really fun, and whenever I went in the city or like walked by that area, there were always so many children on the whole climbing gym. Another aspect of independence that Germans tend to give their children is allowing them to ride the bus or like get to school on their own. In the US, kids do ride the bus to school. However, it's a school bus. It's one of those big yellow school buses that you think of when you think of the US. And so it's not the same as in Germany. In Germany, I would see like 5th graders on the actual bus because they don't have school buses. They just use their regular bus system to get to school. So there are adults getting to work, there's elderly people riding the bus, and there's children.
So everybody will use the bus. And I think that's a great idea. It's showing your kids early on how to deal with adults, which in the United States we don't do. I think that's a great idea.
On it, and I just felt like in the US, people would be so scared to send their children on a city bus. It was crazy for me to see such young children riding the bus alone because it was taking me a long time to figure out how to ride the bus. Albeit it was not my home language or my mother tongue. So if it was in English, I'm sure that it would have been a little bit easier for me. But then again, the children are learning how to use the bus system at such a young age, and parents see that it's very safe and nothing's gonna happen to their child. So another thing that I found is that American parents care more about really focusing on what their child is doing and like striving for their child to be the best. And this has kind of come to a term called helicopter parents because it means that they helicopter around the child 24/7 and are always trying to control what they do. Just some examples of this are that I have a ton of friends whose parents are always controlling what they do. They won't let them go out a lot, they won't let them go out to just hang out with their friends sometimes. They're making sure they do their homework even if they're in 10th, 11th, 12th grade. They're making sure they're studying for exams and forcing them to do all these clubs they want because they want their child to be so smart and get into the best college or university. Just a very crazy practice because I felt like in Germany a lot of my friends were studying because they wanted to and they had the pressure on themselves to get good grades. I never really asked my friends too much if it was their parents putting pressure on them. I just know that at least for like my host family and my host sister, that sense of wanting to study and wanting to get good grades was very independent and not pressure.
Well, that would be more like a cultural thing, right? Maybe the parents early on put into their kids, even though they're not being helicopter parents, but the culture is, it's the sense here. Here's the thing: a lot of Americans don't understand. What Germany does very good is they put in their kids early on that you have a duty to your community, and that duty also is included to have good grades in school. But see, Americans don't see it like that. Americans think that, no, it's my parent pushing me. No. It's the culture pushing this, which is great because that means they become better citizens without even telling them.
Pressurized or not put on to the child because of the parents' ideas. But also, like, that's kind of how I was. I think that parenting in Germany is more generalized there. More parents act the same, versus in the US, parenting can range so much. Like, you have parents who do not care at all what you do, and then parents who control your whole life. So it could totally be this way in Germany, and let me know if I'm wrong in the comments below. In the US, some of my friends' parents did not say at all like what they could and could not do. They just let them do whatever they wanted, like didn't enforce if they got bad grades in school, literally nothing. I think my parents were kind of middle, but towards that more section because they trusted what I did and gave me lots of independence, and in return, I just wanted to learn better and I wanted to get good grades and be a good student on my own, so they never had to push me to do that. And then far other spectrum is that some kids' parents did everything for them. Like, some children and friends that I know, their parents have actually done projects and homework assignments to turn in for them because they wanted them to get a good grade. That's just crazy to me. Because what are they learning? They're not learning anything.
Yeah, I have a cousin that had that same problem. The mom used to do all his homework, and all of a sudden the kid just hit like middle school to high school, and he was dumb as a rock. He was not getting good grade. He was very not as smart. He appeared to be the smart early on, but the mom was doing all his homeworks, so he never developed independent to study.
The main overall point to this is that in Germany, the motto would be that independence equals responsibility. So giving your children independence is in return going to make them more responsible. Personally, I agree with it.
I don't think that's the. I don't know. No. You need a community for this. See, I don't know. I disagree with her. No, even in Germany, there's a responsibility for the community to make sure those kids do what they need to do. Because if the kids come doing whatever the hell they want, I don't think the community is going to accept it. I might be wrong here, guys, but this is how what Americans think when they go there. They think like, no, nobody does anything. They just throw the kids in the school and nobody does anything. They just flourish to your own. No, it's a culture that's already established, and everybody knows the role. But you go to Germany and you think it's just no, they don't do anything, and because they don't do anything, I think they just become more respectful. No, it's not like that. Respect is something that has to be taught. You have to teach kids to be respectful. Well, how do you teach them? Well, not necessarily the parent teacher, but the community does, right? The community has that responsibility. So, but by that community having that responsibility, the kids, by enforcement, outside enforcement, do have to be respectful. But you took all those cultures out, all those community responsibility. The kid is gonna end up crazy with no direction. That's my opinion.
This opinion, but I still see many benefits to the American way, and just I think it's normal, at least how we're raised in America, to want your child to succeed, and a lot of parents don't realize that they're being controlling because they just want what's best for their child. My last point with teens in Germany, because this is where I had the most experience, so to say, parents are much less strict with like partying, with drinking, and with clubbing and going out, that topic, just because first off, it's legal. It's not illegal, so it would be a little harder for them to say no, versus in the US, parents are like, no, because you could get arrested and it is illegal. But parents want their children to be safe if they're doing any of those activities, and they will pick their child up from a party, or they will let their child have a birthday party when they're turning 16 or 18 in their house, so that it's controlled and they know that it'll be okay. I just thought that was really sweet of parents to do, because they're just kind of showing their care for their children in a different way. And it also shocked me to see like parents picking their children up from clubs at 2 a.m. I was like,
yeah, because we are our culture is effed up. That's why.